Harry Wayne's hands trembled as he reached for the whiskey decanter at 2:47 a.m. On the monitor before him, his son Greg sat motionless in his wheelchair, staring at nothing in the darkened library. This was the third night this week Harry had found him there, alone, unreachable, a ghost haunting the mansion that was supposed to be his sanctuary. The cameras had been Harry's last desperate act. After the accident that shattered Greg's spine and spirits 18 months ago, after the parade of therapists who couldn't breach the wall of his son's silence, after watching the light die in eyes that once sparkled with ambition, Harry had installed them everywhere. 43 cameras. Every room. Every angle. Not to spy, he told himself. To protect. To know. To somehow fix what seemed irreparably broken. He'd never expected to discover a secret that would change everything. Welcome to Kindness Arena. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unseen connections that change lives, please help me prove something wrong. My mother said I wouldn't even reach 1,000 subscribers. Help me show her that stories like this matter and deserve to be heard by hitting the subscribe button, liking the video, comment your thoughts, where you're watching from, and share it with someone who needs it to stay motivated. Your support keeps these powerful, true stories alive. Harry Wayne hadn't built a tech empire worth $847 million by missing details. Every percentage point, every market fluctuation, every competitor's move, he noticed. Yet somehow, he'd failed to notice when his own son stopped wanting to live. Mr. Wayne, your 9 a.m. is here. His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Cancel it, Harry said, eyes fixed on the security monitor embedded in his desk. Split screen, Greg's bedroom, the physical therapy room, the main hallway. Empty. All empty. Where's he? Harry cycled through cameras. Pool deck, nothing. Music room, empty. Library. There. Greg sat by the window, wheelchair positioned to face the garden where he used to run, where he'd kicked soccer balls with college friends who'd slowly stopped visiting. The maid, Agnes, was dusting nearby shelves. Harry watched Agnes glance at Greg, then return to her work. She'd been with him for 3 months, came with impeccable references, and barely spoke. Efficient. Invisible. Exactly what Harry needed. Someone who wouldn't make Greg feel pitted. The intercom buzzed again. Sir, about the Beijing merger. Handle it, Jennifer. I'm not to be disturbed. But sir, Jennifer. His voice dropped to that tone that made billion-dollar deals collapse or crystallize. Handle it. Silence. Harry leaned back, the leather chair creaking. When had he become this? A man watching his son through cameras instead of talking to him? But every conversation ended the same way. Greg's one-word answers, the hollow politeness, the careful way he avoided Harry's eyes. I'm fine, Dad. Don't worry about me. I just need time. 18 months was enough time. Something had to change. It started with music. Harry was reviewing footage from the previous day, a habit he developed, watching at 2x speed, looking for signs of distress, moments of hope. He wasn't sure anymore. 3:47 p.m., library camera. Agnes entered with her cleaning cart. Greg was there, same position, same 1,000-yard stare. She began dusting, methodical as always. Then she did something strange. She started humming. Harry leaned forward, turned up the volume. It was barely audible, just a simple melody, nothing he recognized. Agnes continued dusting, the humming casual, as if she didn't know anyone was listening. Greg's head turned, just slightly, just enough. Agnes moved to the bookshelf, still humming, and said, so softly Harry had to replay it 3 times to catch the words, my grandmother used to say that tune could wake the dead. I told her that was terrible advertising for a lullaby. A pause. Then, impossibly, Greg's mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but something. Agnes continued working, saying nothing more. 2 minutes later, she left. Harry sat frozen. He rewound, watched again. That tiny movement at the corner of Greg's mouth, he hadn't seen in 18 months. He told himself it meant nothing. He watched the footage 5 more times. Harry canceled his morning meetings. He needed to watch in real time. 10:23 a.m. Greg was in the therapy room, the one with equipment he rarely used. Agnes entered, pushing her cart. Morning, Mr. Gregg, she said, her Irish lilt more pronounced than Harry remembered. I'm told I need to clean in here while you're not using the machines. Which, if my math is right, is always. Greg said nothing. Agnes sprayed cleaner on the parallel bars. You know, my brother Finn was in a wheelchair for 2 years. Car accident. Doctors said he'd never walk again. She wiped down the bars with slow, deliberate strokes. He told them they were probably right. Said he'd made peace with it. She moved to the weight machine. But I knew he was lying. Want to know how I knew? Silence. Because he kept finding reasons to wheel himself past the physical therapy center. Every day. Different route, different excuse, but always past that building. Like a moth to a flame, he swore he wasn't interested in it. Agnes glanced at Greg. He walks now. Married, 3 kids, coaches football. Terrible at it, but that's beside the point. She moved toward the door, then paused. The equipment's clean whenever you decide it's dusty enough to use. No judgment on timing. She left. Harry watched Greg stare at the parallel bars for 7 full minutes before wheeling himself out. Harry stopped pretending to work. He watched. 1:15 p.m., the garden terrace. Greg sat in his usual spot, untouched lunch beside him. Agnes appeared with fresh linens. Lovely day, she said to no one in particular. Shame to waste it staring at food you're not eating. She began folding napkins at the outdoor table. My son Michael, he's 12, he went through a phase where he wouldn't eat. Turned his nose up at everything. Drove me mad. Fold. Smooth. Fold. Took me 3 weeks to realize he wasn't being difficult. He'd lost his sense of taste from medication. Everything tasted like cardboard, he said. What's the point of eating cardboard? She glanced at Greg. I started describing food to him. Not just it's good, or you'll like it. I'd say, this pasta has garlic that'll make your tongue dance, cream that's thick as silk, chicken that falls apart like secrets. Made it a story instead of a chore. Agnes picked up the folded linens. He started eating again. Not because the food changed, because the meaning did. She walked to the door, then turned back. Your chef made cocoa vin today. The wine in it is a 2015 Burgundy. Your father's favorite year, I hear. The chicken's been braising since dawn, falling apart into that sauce like a sunset melting into the ocean. Seems a shame for it to go cold. She left. Harry watched Greg stare at the plate. Watched him, slowly, pick up his fork. Take a bite. Then another. Harry's throat tightened. 2:34 a.m. Harry's eyes were bloodshot from watching footage. He'd seen 4 more interactions now. Each one carefully crafted, personal, never pushy. Agnes would share a story, plant a seed, and leave. No expectations. No therapy speak. No pity. Just human connection. In the music room, she'd mentioned her daughter's piano recital. She played Beethoven with 3 mistakes and a heart full of courage. That's worth more than perfection, I think. Greg had wheeled himself to the piano that night. Touched the keys for the first time in 18 months. In the hallway, she talked about her own fear of heights. But I went up the cliffs of Maher anyway. Being afraid doesn't mean being stopped. It just means being brave enough to be afraid and move anyway. Greg had asked his physical therapist about the pool the next day. Now, watching live at 2:34 a.m., Harry saw something that made him stand up so fast his chair flew backward. Greg was in the library. Not alone. Agnes was there, in her street clothes. She should have left hours ago. She sat on the couch across from him, a book in her lap. Can't sleep either? She asked. For the first time in 18 months, Greg spoke more than 3 words. I keep dreaming I'm running. Then I wake up and remember I can't. It's worse than not dreaming at all. Harry's hand covered his mouth. Agnes nodded slowly. After my husband died, I kept dreaming he was alive. I'd wake up reaching for him. Empty bed. Empty everything. Part of me wanted to stop sleeping altogether. What did you do? I changed the dream. Agnes set down her book. Started telling myself before sleep. If I dream of him, I'll remember the good parts. The laughing parts. Not just the missing parts. Took months, but eventually the dreams changed. He still showed up, but they stopped being nightmares. Greg's voice cracked. I don't know how to dream about running without it hurting. Then dream about different movements, swimming, dancing, flying. Your body might be in chair, Mr. Greg, but your dreams don't have to be. A long pause. Greg, he said quietly. Just Greg. Agnes smiled. Greg, then. And I'm Agnes. Not Miss Liam. Not the maid. Just Agnes. Why are you being so nice to me? Because you remind me of my Finn. Because you're 24 and brilliant, and you've got decades ahead of you. Because nobody should have to be this sad in a house this beautiful. She leaned forward. And because I see you, Greg Wayne. Not the wheelchair. Not the accident. You. And you're worth seeing. Greg's shoulders shook. Then he was crying, deep, racking sobs that seemed pulled from somewhere ancient and buried. Agnes moved to sit beside his wheelchair, handed him tissues, and said nothing. Just stayed. Harry Wayne, billionaire, genius, master of the universe, sat in his office with tears streaming down his face, watching a woman who made $18 an hour do what all his money couldn't, reach his son. Harry found Agnes in the kitchen the next morning. We need to talk, he said. She turned, dish towel in hand, face calm. About? I know what you've been doing. Something flickered in her eyes, worry, maybe fear, but she held his gaze. Then you know I've been doing my job. Your job is cleaning. My job, Agnes said quietly, is caring for this household. That includes the people in it. Harry moved closer, lowered his voice so the chef wouldn't hear. I have cameras. Everywhere. I've watched every conversation you've had with Greg. Now she did look worried. That's quite an invasion of privacy, Mr. Wayne. I needed to protect him. From what? Kindness. For being hurt again. Harry's voice broke slightly. Everyone who gets close to him eventually leaves. His girlfriend left when she saw the wheelchair. His friend stopped calling. Even his mother, he stopped himself. Agnes set down the towel. Even his mother, what? Left. Divorced me 6 months after the accident. Said she couldn't watch him suffer. Moved to Paris. The words tasted like ash. So yes, I watch. Because I need to know who's going to hurt him before they get the chance. Agnes studied him for a long moment. And what did you see in those videos, Mr. Wayne? Did you see me hurt him? I saw you. Harry struggled for words. I saw you do what dozens of therapists couldn't. I saw my son smile, eat, play piano, cry. Actually cry and release whatever's been killing him inside. Then why do you look angry? Because I'm his father. The words exploded out. I'm his father, and I couldn't reach him. I built an empire. I can move markets with a phone call. I have more money than I can spend in 3 lifetimes. And I couldn't help my own son. His voice dropped to a whisper. What kind of father does that make me? Agnes's expression softened. The kind who loves so much it blinds him. You've been so busy trying to protect Greg, you forgot to just be with him. I don't know how anymore. Every time I try to talk to him, I see the accident. I see the x-rays. I see the moment the doctor told us he'd never walk again. And I think his voice caught. I think if I'd been there that night, instead of at a business dinner in Tokyo, maybe I could have stopped it. Mr. Wayne, I missed my son's call because I was in a meeting. He called to tell me he was going to that party. If I'd answered, if I'd talked to him, maybe he would have left earlier. Maybe he wouldn't have been in the car when that drunk driver, he couldn't finish. Agnes touched his arm gently. Grief and guilt are twins, Mr. Wayne. They look alike, sound alike, but only one of them is real. You didn't cause that accident. You're not responsible for a drunk driver's choices. Then why can't I forgive myself? Because you're human, and because loving someone means wanting to shield them from every harm, even when it's impossible. She paused. But Greg doesn't need a shield anymore. He needs a father. The real one. Not the guilty one. Not the one watching from cameras. The one who shows up, sits beside him, and admits he doesn't have all the answers. Harry wiped his eyes roughly. I don't know if I can do that. You can. You're already doing the hard part. You're watching, you're learning, you're trying. Now you just need to step out from behind the cameras. What if I make it worse? What if you make it better? Agnes smiled. Greg's starting to heal, but he can't fully do it without you. He needs to know you see him the way I do. Not as broken, not as the tragedy that happened. As Greg, your son, still brilliant, still here, still fighting. Harry nodded, throat too tight to speak. One more thing, Agnes added. You should know, I'm not magic. I'm just someone who's been broken before and remembers how it feels. What I did for Greg, you can do too. You just have to be brave enough to be vulnerable with him. How did you know what to say? I didn't. I just talked to him like he was a person, not a patient. I share my stories, my failures, my family struggles. Let him see that being broken doesn't mean being finished. She met his eyes. Everyone's carrying something, Mr. Wayne. Greg's is just more visible. That evening, Harry found Greg in the library. The same spot, the same window. Can I join you? Harry asked. Greg looked surprised but nodded. Harry sat on the couch, the same spot where he'd watched Agnes sit through the camera. For a long moment, neither spoke. I've been watching you, Harry finally said. Greg stiffened. What? Through cameras. I had them installed everywhere after the accident. To protect you, I told myself. Harry looked at his hands. Really, I think I was trying to control something I couldn't control. Trying to prevent more hurt when I'd already failed to prevent the first one. Dad, let me finish. Please. Harry took a breath. I watched you suffer for 18 months, and I didn't know how to help. Every therapist, every specialist, every experimental treatment, I threw money at it. Thinking money could fix anything, but it couldn't fix you because you weren't broken, Greg. You were grieving. Greg's eyes glistened. I was grieving too, Harry continued. Not for you. You're here. You're alive, but for the future I'd imagined. You're running Wayne Tech someday. You play soccer with your own kids. You were walking down an aisle at your wedding, and I couldn't separate my grief from yours. I couldn't see that you were creating a new future, not mourning an old one. How did you know that? Greg's voice was barely audible. I haven't told anyone that. Because I watched Agnes. I watched her talk to you like a human being instead of a condition. I watched you respond to her in ways you never responded to doctors, and I realized I've been trying to fix you instead of understanding you. Greg wheeled himself closer. I don't need fixing, Dad. I need people to see me. Not the wheelchair. Not the tragedy. Me. I see you, Harry said, and meant it. I see you trying. I see you fighting. I see you surviving something that would have destroyed most people. And I'm sorry I made you feel invisible in your own home. I never said. You didn't have to. I knew. Deep down, I knew. Harry leaned forward. Agnes told me something this morning. She said you can't fully heal without me stepping up as your father. Not your protector or fixer. Just your dad. So I'm here and I'm asking, what do you need from me? Greg was quiet for so long Harry thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I need you to stop looking at me like I'm dying. I need you to tell me about your day, ask about mine, argue with me about stupid things like we used to. His voice cracked. I need my dad back, not the guilty stranger who tiptoes around me. Harry felt something break open in his chest. I could do that. I want to do that. Even if I'm angry, even if I have bad days. Especially then. Be angry. Have bad days. Be messy and human and real. I can handle it, Greg. I promise. Greg wiped his eyes. Agnes told you to say that, didn't she? Harry laughed, a real laugh, the first in months. She gave me the courage to say what I should have said 18 months ago. But the words are mine. She's pretty great, isn't she? She's extraordinary, and she's also right that I need to pay her more. Greg smiled, really smiled. She'd probably tell you to donate it to her kid's school instead. Then I'll do both. Harry reached out, hesitated, then put his hand on Greg's shoulder. I love you, son. Not the old you. Not some future you. You sitting here right now. This you. You're enough. Greg covered his father's hand with his own. I love you too, Dad. They sat like that for a while, father and son, finding their way back to each other. Harry stood in the doorway of the physical therapy room, watching Greg pull himself along the parallel bars. Sweat poured down his face, muscles straining, but he was moving. Agnes appeared beside Harry, a laundry basket on her hip. He's doing well. He's doing incredibly. Harry turned to her. Thank you for everything. I didn't do anything special, Mr. Wayne. You saved my son's life. You saved mine too. He pulled an envelope from his pocket, which is why I wanted to give you this. Agnes opened it, eyes widening. Mr. Wayne, I can't accept. It's a scholarship fund. For Michael and your daughter. Full ride, any university they choose. And before you argue, it's already set up. Non-negotiable. Her eyes filled with tears. This is too much. It's not nearly enough. You gave me back my son. Let me give your children their futures. Agnes hugged him, surprising them both. Thank you, she whispered. In the therapy room, Greg reached the end of the parallel bars and turned around. He caught Harry's eye and grinned, that brilliant, unguarded grin Harry thought he'd never see again. Harry grinned back. That night, he deleted all the camera footage, uninstalled the monitoring software. He didn't need to watch anymore. He was finally ready to participate. The mansion's library had been transformed. Where once Greg sat alone, now a support group of 12 people gathered weekly, others in wheelchairs, others recovering from trauma, all finding their way forward together. Agnes led them, sharing stories, facilitating connections, creating the same magic she'd worked on Greg. She'd cut back her cleaning hours to do it, and Harry had made up the difference 10 times over with a salary that recognized her true value. Greg was in graduate school now, studying psychology, planning to work with trauma survivors. He swam daily, had started adaptive surfing, and was dating a woman he'd met at the support group. He still used a wheelchair. He probably always would, but he wasn't defined by it. Harry sat in on the groups sometimes, sharing his own story of grief and guilt and learning to let go. Fathers came to him afterward, asking how he'd done it, how he'd found his way back to his sons and daughters. He always gave them the same answer Agnes had given him. Talk to them like they're people, not problems. Share your brokenness, not just your strength. Show up, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And every time, he thought of those cameras, those desperate late nights watching his son through screens, trying to protect him from the world. When what Greg had needed all along was for the world, for his father to step out from behind the glass and be present in his pain. Sometimes the greatest protection isn't surveillance. It's love, brave enough to be vulnerable. It's showing up again and again, even when you don't have answers. It's letting someone see you're broken too and healing together. Agnes had taught them that. And in teaching them, she'd proven that the most powerful interventions don't come from degrees or money or technology. They come from one human being truly seeing another and having the courage to say, "You matter. Your pain matters. Your future matters. And I'm here for all of it." If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness is never wasted and that even a broken path can lead to beautiful places and change of lives, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Arena, because your support keeps stories like this alive and spreading. Tell us in the comment what you would have done differently if you were the maid. Would you have helped him? Or has a stranger's kindness ever changed your life in ways you didn't expect? We'd love to hear your story.